Oh yeah, Cashapp. Oh yeah, Cashapp.
Good morning. Couple things, people. Real quick, uh, we need to address a couple topics. I don't have long to be on here, but of course, I was inspired doing some studying this morning. DJ Academics, DJ Vlad, and they were talking about how they built their platforms and how they started from the bottom, like on some real shit, and that they really just kind of built brick by brick with consistency and accumulation and all these different tactics and of course at times being dynamic and kind of playing on using clickbait and what have you. But of course it inspired me. I'm like, I need to post. I have to post. I didn't post yesterday. I had a headache, went to bed early, Just watched a ton of YouTube and relaxed, took some pills, and uh, feasted on a free Little Caesars pizza. And so we are forever grateful for that. Um, yeah, yesterday I had my first day of TAP, Transition Airman Program. No, Transition Assistance Program. Um, it's a mandatory program, congressionally mandated. You're required to go through in order to separate. And so this program basically tells you, which is part of my issue with the program, is that a lot of the information you get, you probably should have got at the beginning of your career. It would have been mightily helpful to get a lot of this information at the beginning rather than after I'm leaving. But yeah, first day in the morning, we obviously did, a bunch of introductions, and I met a lot of people. I have a interview coming up with a combat controller. I'm trying to get this other guy. He's a special reconnaissance, 26 SDS. Interesting people, interesting career field. I'm always intrigued by that career field of special forces in the Air Force, and so I have some interviews lined up with them. I also met a Air Force linguist. I'm trying to get him on as well. Speaks Spanish fluently, mind you. Amazing, black guy, brother. So yeah, I'm trying to get some things lined up. I'm trying to get some more, different faces on here, so some different opinions, different experiences. But first day was kind of death by PowerPoint, as it tends to be most briefings. Mandatory briefings, you just sit there and you survive off coffee and Munsters, and you do your best to make it. Like, good Lord. So hopefully today goes by a little bit more smoothly. Still don't have orders. What's new? Still don't have orders. So out processing before I go to Skill Bridge might not even take place. Who knows? I might have to fly back or take care of things after I do my Skill Bridge. So we'll see. We'll see what my shirt can handle. Again, I always talk about asking for help. If you can't handle everything at your position, there are people in position that it's their job to help you, but they have to know about it. So I sent a couple emails yesterday during lunch. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, about to head to TAP in about the next 30. Well, yeah, about 30 minutes after I finish this live. Wearing civilian clothes feels weird. Being called your first name feels weird. It's a complete. The whole point of it is to help you transition. And it's a wonderful program. In regards to its intent, is to help you transition a little bit more smoothly. I highly recommend, if you're about to leave the military, if you have any ambition, let's say you got 2 years left in your contract, a year and a half left in your contract, look into Skill Bridge. There is no better transition that I can think of than using Skill Bridge, because it's over, literally, you can use up to 180 days. 180 days of being somewhere else while still getting paid your active duty pay, but learning how to do a different anything. And there's programs all over the country, Puerto Rico, like all over the country, all our properties and annexed territories rather. There's literally whatever program you're looking for, it exists somewhere. Everything from lawn care up to working on nukes. There's everything in between. So if you want a smooth transition from active duty to, let's say, the reserves, the guard, or being civilian, you need to look into Skill Bridge. It doesn't take that much work. It takes maybe an hour a day of just kind of knowing what you're talking about, studying. I already made a video on Skill Bridge, so if you're interested, check that out. But it's up to 180 days, half a year of your last year on your contract. You can spend that somewhere else learning new skills, to where basically when your contract ends, you already have another job lined up and you've been trained properly. You're not just applying for jobs at the end of your contract. You have a job and you've already been trained for it. So don't waste that meaningful amount of time just kind of sitting around. And of course, most people they're not trying to be the best person they can be, the best airman they can be at the end of their contract. But use that time wisely, because again, once that check ends, that last check, you're not going to get the last check. It's going to be calibrated for you. So that last check, you won't get it on the 1st and 15th. That last check you get will be computed by finance, and then you'll get it maybe 3 to 5 days after you separate. So just be mindful of those type of things. You don't want to wait till the last second. The stress. I did make a note that leaving the military often feels like joining the military. It feels the same as joining the military. A lot of the stressors, a lot of the unknown, a lot of the mysteries, the fears, the concerns, the worries, the anxiety, it feels like joining the military. Like, you're going to basic training, you don't know what, I don't know what basic training. I watched a ton of videos on it, but you don't know everything. And so it feels similar when you've spent almost 6 years in the military or longer, 4, 6 years, longer than that, and then you're going back to something that it's not this. It's kind of like leaving prison, and like you went to jail in the '80s and you came back to the 2000s. You're like, what? You guys have cordless phones? What is Bluetooth? You said iPhone? What's that? What's that? Streaming? No, I got CDs. I got cassettes. I got 8 tracks. Like, what are y'all talking about? Android? They're better than iPhones? What? Like, it's a whole new world that you're coming out to. So in a lot of ways, the civilian world, the civilian sector has changed a lot while you've been in the military, because the military is a very artificial environment. It's not normal. It's not a normal environment. You can't just be fired. Like, you're at work one day and they say, you know what? You're fired, go home. And then they never see you again. That doesn't happen in the military. Leaving the military takes some time. It takes paperwork. It takes, you got to jump through hoops. It's a mess. So just be mindful of those type of things. There will be a ton of different feelings, but luckily the military, one thing I give the military props for is that they are just, I can't speak for any other branch, but the Air Force, we just got programs everywhere. There's programs, nonprofits, institutions, organizations all over the place that are designed to make things just a tad bit easier for you than the average person. Like, I mean, yesterday, again, it wasn't all that yesterday, but there was some things I'd take some notes, I'd open some tabs and, save some things. I'm like, yeah, I did not know that. I probably should have known that. It took me 6 years in the military to find this out. Why am I just not finding this out? So just be aware of those type of things. Not everything's going to be smooth, but again, the earlier you plan and the more you plan and the more knowledge you have and more mentorship you seek, the smoother that transition becomes and will be. So a little plug there. The elephant in the room, Ukraine. I can hear the questions of the intended and the betrothed recruits. Are we going to World War III? Will I be on the front lines? Will I have a musket and a double barrel shotgun and a knife and a shovel? Will there be trench warfare? Will I get trench foot? So again, wisdom, but also logic. There's this wisdom when you're just asking a question because you don't want to be ignorant. But then there's also logic where you realize, we don't use muskets anymore. We don't use gunpowder. There is no hand-to-hand combat in most cases, especially as it relates to the Air Force. Again, I'm talking from an Air Force mindset. Because again, when you choose your branch, and I believe I made a video on this, when it comes to choosing your branch, you must understand how we deploy versus how the Army deploys, versus how the Marines deploy, versus how the Navy deploys, versus how the Coast Guard during times of war deploys. It's different. It's meant to be. Space Force, they're going to deploy in their own way. It may become through a Zoom call or what have you, but everyone's going to deploy differently. And it's meant to be differently. That's why we have separate branches. So the Army might be deploying. They might have boots on the ground already headed that direction. And the Air Force, we may not be nowhere near it. We might be flying over it. We might be circling a region. We might be posturing in a country next door. But in terms of boots on the ground, we might be embedded with a Special Forces unit. And typically we are embedded with a Special Forces unit. We might have a pain agent embedded. We might have, a weather troop embedded. But as it relates to, all right, I got to hold this gun. They're going to bang down that door. And I'm going to walk over there and ask them why are y'all being bad people? Didn't we ask y'all not to be terrorists? Didn't we specifically ask you, do not be terrorists? That's not typically the role of the Air Force. So a lot of the fears that arise as far as, all right, I was going to join the Air Force, but now all this stuff just kind of hit the fan, and now I'm worried about what could possibly happen. We must talk not about possibility, but about probability. What is the probability of you being boots on the ground in the Ukraine? It's closer to 0 than it is to 100, which means it's in the minority. It's just closer to 20. It's closer to 0 than it is to 100. We must deal with probability, especially when it comes to what we're afraid of, our worries, our fears. I'm afraid. All right, well, let's talk about probability. When it comes to optimism and the troops and the hopes and things are going to work out, and I just can't wait to, then of course you can throw in all the possibility you want. Throw in all the possibility you want when it comes to optimism. But when it comes to your fears, you have to dismiss possibility. Aliens could descend on Cannon Air Force Base today. It's possible. It's 1,000%, 1,000,000% possible that aliens are going to come try to fight your boy, and I'm gonna give them work. I'm gonna give them hands. What you doing here, man? I'm throw hands with them. It's possible, but it's not probable. It's not probable. And that's a lot of the issues that we deal with, is like the news, they love just throwing out what's possible and all these opinions, and people just react in opinions. Is our military prepared for a World War III? Is the Air Force posturing for World War III? Again, so when it comes to probability of your distance to, will I be fighting a Russian person hand to hand? You got to think about, what is the tip of the spear of your given branch? Who is the tip of the spear? What is the tip of the spear of your given branch? The tip of the spear of the Air Force is usually an aircraft, not a person. It's not a person. It's a person operating an aircraft. Not all the time, because we have drones. We have unmanned aircraft. So often, the space I'm at currently has unmanned aircraft. I met a pilot yesterday. He drives the U-28. I might get him on here as well. U-28 is those cartel-looking planes. You can look it up. But you have to think about the tip of the spear. What is the tip of the spear of the Navy? Aircraft carrier? Destroyers? It's typically not a single person. It's typically an aircraft, a group of persons. The tip of the spear of the Air Force typically is 2 persons. You fly, you got wingmen. F-22 got a pilot, you got another pilot on their 6. Not really their 6, like they're 3-ish. But you have to use logic when it comes to these things. The Army. What's the tip of the spear of the Army? Some could argue, Apache helicopters. It could be aircraft. Who knows? But again, you have to think logically. The Air Force doesn't have infantry. That's what separates us from the Army and the Marines. The Air Force does not have infantry. I don't believe the Navy has infantry. We're not trained as riflemen first. And like, we have a group of people that, all right, if shit hits the fan, we just send these group of people and say, run that way and shoot anything that moves. We don't train in the field for 2 weeks at a time, and we just lay in dirt and shower with baby wipes. I would go straight to EO if they said, Isaiah, go out there, you see that patch of grass, go out there, lay there. If something comes to get you, give them what for. I'm like, bruh, I won't be able to make it, bruh. I'm busy, you understand? Where's the nearest home to suites in something? Hampton Inn, Holiday Inn, Madison. Where's the hotels at, bruh? I got a 9A. I'm not staying on base. I got a 9A, bruh. You have to think logically. So again, a lot of the fears, especially of civilians, that I want to join the Air Force to get a free education because I don't want 1,000 student loans that I'm paying off till I'm 50. That's a logical reason to join the military, is that I'll be paying on them for 4 years because I got to serve for 4 years. I get free education. And really, you just got to do over half your contract and get discharged honorably. Or Palace Chase, go to the Guard Reserve. Over half your contract. So you're looking at 2.5 years, 3 years. You get a free education. That's a logical reason to join the military. But again, a lot of the fears that, when I made the video about Iran and, things are popping off. Things are popping off. What are we going to do? It's not as deep. Also, you have to remember who you're working for. You have to remember who you're working for. The Air Force, the United States Air Force, mind you, we're currently in the #1 seat, somewhat objectively. A lot of our propaganda, as far as what we teach our own people, like we're the #1 Air Force in the world. I guess that could be seen as an opinion. It could be, but then when you who's trying to see the F-22, right? Is any of our ops trying to see the F-22 in a dogfight? You can watch simulations of like all these sims. I love watching them. The F-22 does not take L's, man. The MiGs, all the foreign aircraft, they want our F-22. That's the only aircraft we do not sell to any other country. Think about that. Like, we give the F-35 away. We give the F-16s. So yeah, cool. It's like me giving my S-20 Ultra away. I'm like, yeah, it's 2 years old. You good. I got a iPad Air. You good. I got an S9 Plus. You good. iPhone 4 here. Take it. Earbuds with the string attached. You good. Take it. But the latest stuff? So, yeah, a lot of fear is based on possibility, not probability. You must be mindful of that. So, yeah. A lot of things that I hear in the populace and the news, and a lot of it is to get people stirred up, get their emotions going. How do I trigger the masses with just emotion? So quick little tangent. Emotion is useful. It's necessary. It's necessary. We need emotions, both men and women, and any other categories you would like to add. We all need emotions. We all have emotions. 99% of us. 99% of us have emotions. With that being said, a decision made purely based on emotion tends to earn you a documentary on Netflix. You're almost guaranteeing yourself, I'm probably going to be all over the world as a meme, or I'm going to get my documentary. I'm going to have to sell my story to somebody because somebody's going to take a lot of my money. And they won't be prosecuted for it because I gave it to them willingly out of my emotions. I didn't think before I did anything. A lot of people that end up in jail did not think. They reacted. They did not respond. They reacted from emotion. Think about it. How often do you react from thinking? If somebody ran up on you and said, bro, you are dusty, you ugly, and away with you. Nobody reacts out of thought. You react out of anger, out of emotion. So the issue with emotion is that the prioritization is wrong. That's the issue with emotion. It's not that it exists. It's that it's misprioritized. And in every case, in most cases, logic should go first. In most cases. There are some cases where someone had death in the family, and if you approach them with logic and say, well, death is going to happen. It's unavoidable. You deserve death. You're not going to avoid it. It's inevitable. You're going to go there one day and you're going to interview with death. They're going to receive you and accept you. You're not going to get away from death. No one's getting out of this life alive. That's very and purely logical. But in that case, you should have used emotion and just gave them a hug. You should have prioritized emotion in that case and said, oh, I heard about your grandmother here. Let me give you a hug. How are you doing? What are you feeling right now? Do you need anything? So it's the prioritization. And that's where a lot of people get themselves in trouble, is that they swing between the pendulums of, all right, I have too much emotion, so I'm going to be only logical. And then when it comes for a time to be emotional, they choose logic. I'm like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. And you got people that are too logical and they say, I don't need any emotions whatsoever. That's wrong. Any extreme ideology is wrong. Any extreme version of what you think is right is wrong. Nothing is purely black and white. Nothing is purely black and white. You know what? I have to retract that statement. Not only because I'm accountable, but because I can think logically. If I say nothing, and this is a little side tangent, but if I say nothing is black and white, that statement alone is black and white. So if it's true, then it's false. You'd be surprised how many, just listening to people talk, because I do it to myself, so I'm able to catch myself in a moment. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's wrong. But you listen to people talk long enough, and you just realize, all right, if what they said is true, then it's wrong. It's wrong. If you make an absolute statement and say everything is nuanced, everything is absolute, because the opposite of everything is nothing. So there's only two. I don't want to get into all that, false dichotomies and what have you. Let's see what we got in chat. I got a couple minutes. If you got any questions, drop them in the chat. Willie says, Ray, I'm 24, been in a relationship for 5 years. My girl doesn't want me to join the Air Force, but I hate my trade as an electrician. She says, if I go, we shouldn't be together. What's your take? Go to the Air Force. Go to the Air Force. Go to the Air Force. Giving in to an ultimatum will never benefit you, because all you're doing is communicating what your price is. Go to the Air Force. Not only because there's plenty of other humans on this planet that are willing to be in a relationship with you. And I'm trying to answer this as objectively as possible. But do what you want to do in this very moment. Why? Because whenever they get opportunity that they want to pursue, they will choose what they want to do that benefits them. If you hate your current life, if you hate your current trade, change it. Change it. It sounds simple. It sounds too logical. It sounds, all right, what if I love her? What if I want to stay? What if I don't want to give up on this? What? They gave you an ultimatum. They said, choose yourself or me. I made a mistake, especially over the last 29 years, and I'm 29 years old. Over the last 29 years, I've made the mistake of choosing other people over myself. But then I realized they don't do that for me. They don't choose me over themselves. If I'm hungry, do I give you food? If I'm thirsty, do I give you drink, sustenance? It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. Also, you're going to realize they don't want you if you're willing to give in to an ultimatum. No one likes weakness. Your hero is most likely not the person who loses the fight. A lot of people did not like Kobe, but everyone respected Kobe. Why? Because not only was he arrogant and loud and obnoxious, but he was a winner. He was a winner. I would argue that most relationships don't even make it through basic training, tech school. I mean, depending on your job, training takes a minute. So you might be away from your partner for a good minute. And again, that's the ultimate test of your trust, is lack of accountability. If someone's willing to tell you, don't pursue what you want, pursue what I want you to want, is that the relationship you want to be in? And I'm trying to ask you questions. I'm not telling you what to do. I know I kind of led with join the Air Force. But ultimately, I would tell you what to do with a question. What do you want to do? That's the answer. That's the simple answer to your question. Um, y'all can't be together if you join the Air Force. It's unfortunate. Find somebody else. There's millions of people on this planet. Billions of people on this planet. There's billions of people on this planet. Maybe it's not meant to be. If that's what it takes for you to stay in this relationship is to be unhappy in your current position, it's time to move on. So that's a simple answer, but I'm talking from experience that being this nice guy who, well, I want to consider what everyone wants. In some cases that matters. In some cases that matters. If you're married and you have a family already and they say, yeah, I want to join the Marine Corps and be infantry. Maybe that's a conversation. Maybe. But we're talking about marriage also. But when it comes to dating, it's really up to you ultimately. Because I can sit here and tell you what I would do and based on my experiences, and a lot of it is anecdotal, but I also study wisdom and I study correlations, and I'm not making decisions from being butthurt. I have feelings too. I have emotions, and I've been hurt before. But I can also be objective and say, all right, in this moment, I'm prioritized emotion. In this moment, I'm going to prioritize logic. This is a mixture of both. This is highly nuanced, but it can be simple, especially as it relates to what you want. It can be very simple. I want abs. What does that mean? I have to drink protein in the morning. I want to build muscle. What does that mean? I have to drink protein in the morning. I don't want to deal with sugar cravings all day. What does that mean? I have to drink protein in the morning. The means is justified by the end, by the desired end result. If I want to be happy, I have to pursue what makes me happy. That means I have to move to Florida. I have to get off active duty. If I want peace, I have to get off active duty. And of course, we have to look into causation versus correlation. And is this really the cause of my struggle? Is the active duty Air Force really causing me anxiety? Or is it something underlying? That's where it becomes a little bit more nuanced, and you have to actually understand yourself, self-assess, and study wisdom, seek mentorship, all these different disciplines. This is why mathematics is not how you solve every problem. Not everything is 1 zeros. Not everything is 1 + 1 is 2. Not everything is logical. Sometimes you have to look at philosophy. Is there really Air Force? What? Is there really an Air Force, or are we just kind of? And then I'm like, well, philosophy's not working. Religion. Is it a sin to join the Air Force? How many gods are there? Is the general a 4-star? Is that God? Is Jesus the chief? Enlisted Jesus? All right, religion's not working. What else is there? Chemistry? Oh, can we? Oh, how does iron fuse with the chemical properties and diffusion and it's too much. But understanding all of them somewhat allows you to make quality decisions, not based on one line of thinking. So the answer to your question is, what do you want to do? That's the simple answer to your question. If you had children, it'll be more nuanced. But ultimately, it still comes down to, as a man, what do you want to do? And do that. Do that. So hope that helps. Well, he also continues, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a dream of mine, but I do think I might be more happy than being an electrician apprentice. But I guess I won't know until I try. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? I feel like a lot of people in the chat showing love to my boy Welly. So, yeah, ultimately it's your decision, Wells, man. But yeah, ultimately your life is going to come down to your decisions. Your end result, there's a couple quotes that I live by. I think one of them is, Only successful people take credit for their decisions. It's something to that effect. We are all self-made, but only the successful people will admit it. We will take credit for all the successes in our life, but when it comes down to the failures, now I listened to her and I didn't join the military, so now my life sucks. Does it? Is it her fault? Because you made the decision, right? You made the decision, right? So yeah, we're not pointing fingers here. Take accountability for your own life. I got 3 minutes, and I gotta get in the shower. Question for Raymond: is the Air Force better for learning programming than the Army? Army guarantees MOS, but the propaganda I see says Air Force has better tech. That's a pretty good question. This is where you would not make a decision purely based off your job. You would also include how does the Army deploy, whether or not you're a rifleman first in the Air Force or in the Army. There are a lot of things to consider here. Ultimately, you're more or less right that the Army will probably try to get as close to guaranteeing you a job or MOS than the Air Force will try to guarantee you an AFSC. In the Air Force, a lot of people want to join the Air Force. It's highly competitive that a lot of people in the Air Force are going after one specific thing. When it comes to programming and computer science and what have you, I would probably say the Air Force might be leading. Space Force might be leading in that category, man, because it's a part of our mission. You know, airspace and cyberspace. The Army, their main mission, their main priorities are not cyberspace. It's a part of their mission. Like the Navy, the Marines, they have aircraft as well, but their main tip of the spear is not aircraft. That's the Air Force. So you have to look at who is prioritizing this in their mission. So if the Air Force is prioritizing it, I would take the chances of trying to go to the Air Force. Whereas if you're trying to be infantry, you want to be the tip of the spear, you want to be special forces, you want to be hand to hand, I want to be top of the top, best of the best. Navy SEAL, Green Berets, Rangers, things like that. So ultimately, I would look at which branch is prioritizing what you want to do. Now, you also have to look at the probability of getting what you want to do. If the Air Force says, all right, there's a small chance you might be able to get this, or if they're able to find you a position where, all right, we got a class date for, cybersecurity or something, you're able to get it, go for it. But ultimately, you want to look at which branch is prioritizing what you want to do in terms of who might be leading in that area. So hope that helps. Try to squeeze a couple more in here. Hey, you see me Felix, bruh? Or Miss, I'm not sure. But you see me out here. Content coming out. We trying to do a little thing. Corey, I appreciate the question. How am I doing? I'm chilling. I'm well. All right, gotta go. But I appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. I do appreciate y'all. I will see y'all next video. I gotta go. But yeah, appreciate y'all support. Links in the description if you want to support the channel in any way. If you want to request a video topic, links in the description. If you want to schedule one-on-one consult with me, links in the description. You want to join the channel and get access to over 300 videos that are not public. Links in the description. Become a member of the channel and you'll get access to those videos. So hope that helps. See y'all next video.